Hi, I'm Andrea. Thank you so much for joining me for this 30-minute yoga practice. A couple things before we get started that might be useful. I have a couple of yoga blocks. If you don't have those, don't worry, find a couple of thick books. I found that that's a pretty great substitute. I've got a folded blanket, which is as simple as the blanket on your couch or a beach towel. Maybe you've got a nice fluffy bath towel. And I am standing on a yoga mat. If you don't have one, all I ask is that you find a surface that's not too slippery or too hard. So maybe a carpeted area in your home, or you've got a nice sturdy rug. The other thing to be careful of is exercise mats can be a bit slick, and I don't want you surfing through your yoga practice with me. We'll start in a variation of a child's pose that will involve your two blocks or books. So you'll take your two blocks or books and place them so that they are about shoulders distance apart. Our elbows are going to go atop these blocks, and it's a child's pose where you're lifting your hips up, like a little bit of a sassy child's pose. So especially if you've got, if it's hard to do child's pose with a bend in your knees that's too deep, this could be your friend. You can have your toes curled under, and you could take your folded blanket or folded towel and place that underneath your knees. Then, with our elbows on our block, imagine that your forehead's going to go on the ground in between, and then make a little prayer behind your back with your prayer pointing down towards your tailbone that is sassy and to the sky. If your forehead doesn't reach the ground, don't worry, you can just hang out here, or even use your folded blanket underneath your forehead if you're not using it beneath your knees. Feel free to steal things from yourself, from your home. You could find cushions, pillows, all sorts of things that can make this even more pleasant. And then let's stop here and land. Climb yourself up. Let your props go off to the side. And once they're out of your way, slither onto your belly and into what we call Sphinx pose. So your forearms are going to be parallel to those long edges of your mat. I want you to feel some energy in your legs. So press into the tops of your feet until you feel your kneecaps lift. And then imagine that you're trying to tuck your tailbone. I know it's not going to go very far because the ground is there. Press into your hands enough that you're not collapsed down. You feel that you're uplifted. And then traction your elbows towards you a little bit. As we do that, our chin is parallel to the ground. Instead of trying to do the whole thing with our chin, often that sort of feels like it's going to be more movement, and we're looking for specific movement. And then a couple moments here. Just playing with our Sphinx pose for a moment. Now we'll lower down and shimmy those elbows towards us a little bit. Once again, feel the oomph into your arms. Curl your toes under, and now press into your forearms until your chest lifts off your mat, your belly lifts off your mat, maybe your hips lift off your mat, and pause. Your knees are down. You're in a bit of a forearm plank with your knees down at the moment, which is quite a bit and might be sufficient. Perhaps you lift your knees off your mat. Just 2 moments here. And then we'll bring our knees down, our thighs down, our hips down. Uncurl your toes. Press the tops of those feet down. Traction your elbows so you've got a little bit of an uplift of your heart. Try not to do that with your chin. I know, me too. Let's do that one more time. Curl your toes under. Press into your arms until you start to feel yourself lifting. It's core work, pretty great core work. We are playfully doing core work. Keep your knees down if it's best. Possibly lift your knees up off your mat. Then bring your knees down. Lower your hips. Uncurl your toes. It's Sphinx pose once again. Now lower down, slide your hands next to your ribs, and instead of flopping your elbows out to the side, let your elbows just be sort of snug against your ribs. Not catching, not grabbing them, but snug against them. Curl your toes under. We're still doing a little core work. In one chunk, we come to all fours. And then once we're on all fours, I'm turning sideways so it's easier to see me, but you can stay located right where you are on your mat. So once we're on all fours, we'll line up our right hand, our right knee, and our left foot. You can have your toes curled under. You might want to grab that folded towel again. Put your left hand on your hip, and you don't want this right hip to swing out behind you. Hug it underneath you, and it becomes a pretty great anchor. This is a great place to stay. You can remain with your hand on your hip and your left foot on the ground. It's possible that you lift that left leg and maybe even lift your left arm. The anchor of your left hip or your right hip hugging underneath you is going to be important. 3 moments, maybe wobbly moments. Just be playful about it. There will be wobbles, not just on our mat, but off. And it's the spirit with which we greet them that matters. Now put that left foot down, left hand on your hip, and we'll come to all fours, and I will turn so that I don't turn my back on you. You're just operating right there in the middle of your mat. I'm all over the place. Left hand, left knee, right foot. And we'll bring our right hand onto that hip. It's your left hip now that's hugging underneath you. And it's great to stay just like this, perhaps, and it might be with your toes, your left toes curled under. Perhaps you lift that right leg, maybe even your right arm, and then it's a little balance, perhaps. Be careful not to collapse into your left shoulder, push into the ground, and then stamp your right foot, take your right hand on your hip, and we come to all fours where the fun began. And while we're here on all fours, spread your hands wide and let your shoulders be over your wrists. Imagine that there's circles on the circumference of your palms, and you want to secure both circles into your mat. And just like when we were on our forearms, we're not collapsed down, we're really pushing the ground away, and we are really using our core once again. So curl your toes under, and then imagine a hook in your tailbone. Remember our sassy child's pose start? Bring that back into the mix, push into your arms, lift your hips up and back, walk your feet as wide as your mat, stay on the balls of your feet, press into your hands until you grow your spine long, and imagine that your tailbone is fitting in between where the wall and your ceiling meet. Your arms and your ears are lining up, so we're not looking at our hands, you're looking in between your feet, and then walk your feet forward to your hands and arrive hip distance and parallel at the front edge of your mat. Slide your hands up, inhale. Glide your hands down, exhale. Inhale, rise, reach thumbs to the sky, a V shape. Pause here, standing, hip distance, a little bend in your knees, palms facing out, and your chin is parallel to the ground. Inhale, arms out and up, thumbs to the sky, a V shape. Exhale, hinge at your hips. First, just take your hands to your thighs. Let's use our hands on our thighs to press down and lift up. So what I mean by that is press your hands into your thighs and grow the crown of your head tall as if you could from your tailbone to the crown of your head. And then we'll exhale and keep that length, but slide our hands down, maybe to our shins. They can also stay on our thighs. They could go down to our ankles. We'll inhale, lift our heart. And then bend your knees deeply enough that your palms go flat on the ground. Step back to down dog. So right away on the balls of your feet, press the ground away. Envision your hips right there where the ceiling and the wall meet once again. And you can have your feet as wide as your mat or hip distance. Shift it into plank position. Find that shoulders over wrists and your 2 palms plugged in. And then bring your knees down, but your knees are a little further back in space than when we were on our hands and knees. Check to see if you've collapsed and push the ground away instead. Shift a little bit forward. Let your elbows brush, barely brush against your ribs, and see how slowly you can come all the way down onto your belly. Once we're here, uncurl your toes and then traction your way into a cobra pose. Lower down, bring your forearms down. Remember Sphinx pose? Bring yourself into Sphinx pose and then lower down, curl your toes under, press into your arms, lift your belly, lift your hips, lift your thighs, maybe even lift your knees. Return your knees, your thighs, your hips. Lower down onto your belly, slide your hands back again. You can keep your toes curled under. We come in one chunk onto all fours. And then lift your hips up and back. Nice deep bend in your knees for a moment so that we can keep arms and ears lined up. And then walk your feet forward to your hands, hip distance and parallel. Slide your hands up, inhale. Slide your hands down, exhale. Inhale, rise, reach, thumbs to the sky. And then we pause here in our mountain. We'll dance that a couple times. Inhale, V shape. Exhale, hinge at your hips, hands to your thighs or shins or ankles. Slide your hands up and inhale, then bend your knees, palms flat, step back, down dog. Push the ground away actively. Come into a plank position, shoulders over wrists, and gently place your knees down. Lower all the way down onto your belly, and then make it Sphinx pose from here. From Sphinx pose, curl your toes under, press into your forearms, lift your belly, your hips. Your toes are curled under, you might lift your knees. Then bring your knees down, your thighs down, your hips down. Slide your hands back, turn it into cobra pose. Lower down enough that you can curl your toes under, come through all fours, and then lift your hips up and back into your downward facing dog. Walk your feet forward to your hands. We're hip distance and parallel. Slide your hands up, inhale. Glide your hands down, exhale. Inhale, rise, reach, thumbs to the sky, a V, and then we stand in our mountain, palms facing out. Inhale, arms out and up, thumbs to the sky, a V shape. Exhale, hinge at your hips, hands to your thighs, shins or ankles. Slide your hands up, inhale, bend your knees, palms go flat, step to down dog. Once you're in down dog, lift your right leg back behind you and step that right foot forward. It's likely you'll need to help it along. Find your two books or blocks, place them on either side of you so that you can use them to find some balance and alignment. Walk that right foot to the right just a little bit. Bend your left knee, your back knee. Your right knee is bent deeply. Walk your hands up on top of that right thigh. We're standing up nice and tall. We'll stay here for a moment. You'll take your left arm to the sky and pat yourself on the back with your left hand. How about that? Take your right arm out to the side. Bring the back of your right hand to the small of your back. And maybe walk those two hands closer to each other. Don't worry about it if they don't get any closer. We want to be upright, so I'm thinking that the bend in your left knee, your back knee is a good idea. If you want to straighten it a little bit, that's up to you. And then arms go wide out to the side, and we will turn slowly over to our right side. Unwind. Place your hands on your blocks and then move them out of the way so that your hands can go flat for down dog. Once we're in down dog, come forward into your plank position and then bring your knees to your mat. Slowly lower all the way down onto your belly. Make it Sphinx pose. Uncurl your toes for a moment. Draw your chest through the gateway of your arms. Lower down. Curl your toes under. Make it a plank on your forearms. So lift up. You can leave your knees down or lift those knees up. And then knees down, and we slide out onto our bellies. Uncurl our toes. Make it a cobra pose. Lower down, curl your toes under, come through all fours. And then lift your hips up and back into your down dog. Lift that left leg behind you. Step it through and feel free to help it along. Trot your 2 books or blocks into the mix, and our left foot walks over to the left a little bit. Bend your right knee, your back knee, and climb yourself up onto that left thigh. Once we're here, we'll take our right arm up to the sky, pat ourselves on the back, take your left arm out to the side, back of your left hand to the small of your back, and that's plenty. Maybe those 2 hands are interested in walking a little closer to each other. I'm keeping a bend in my back knee. If you want a little bit straighter back there, that's fine. It's a pretty long hold here, so give yourself breaks along the way if you need it. Float your arms wide out to the side, and now just carefully turn to your left side. Arms wide, extended wide. And then unravel, take your hands to those blocks. Move your blocks out of the way so that you can find your down dog. Press into your hands, lift your hips up and back. And then walk your feet forward to your hands. We're hip distance and parallel up here. Glide your hands up, inhale. Slide your hands down, exhale. Inhale, rise, reach, thumbs to the sky, V shape. And then we pause here with your arms along your sides and your palms facing out. Inhale, arms out and up, thumbs to the sky, V. Exhale, hinge at your hips, hands to your thighs or shins or ankles. Glide your hands up, inhale. Bend your knees, palms go flat. We step back to down dog. Get a good oomph in your arms. Lift your right leg behind you. Step it forward, help it along. Take your 2 blocks, move them into the mix. Back foot goes flat. Heel toe this right foot to the right. We're moving our front leg towards straight. That doesn't mean we're locking into it or forcing it. And I do want us to try to keep almost a feeling of Sphinx pose that we've done several times today, happening in our chest, in our spine. Enjoy a few moments here, stretching into the back of that leg. If you have a tendency to lock into that front leg, press into your right big toe mound, add musculature so we're not locked into joints. 3 moments together here. Upright your torso, take your arms wide out to the side. Probably a fist bump behind your back, so you'll just bring your 2 fists together. Possibly a prayer back there, but not struggling and then slouching. So something that actually gives us a little bit of uplift. Let's keep this uplift, reach our arms wide, and turn towards the right side. And then we'll reach out with this left hand and find our book or block in a twist where it feels like we've snuck that prayer behind our back while we're turning and twisting here. Keep breathing. Try to keep that right hip hugging beneath you instead of swinging out over to the right. 3 moments. Unwind. Hands on your blocks, bend your front knees, spin on your back toes. Move your blocks so you can come into a down dog. Palms go flat. Press into your hands a lot. Shift it forward, come into a plank position, and then gently place your knees down. Lower down, all the way down. Come into Sphinx pose, uncurl your toes. One more time, lower down into plank on your forearms. So press down, lift your chest, your belly, your hips, maybe even your knees. And then knees down, thighs down, belly down, hips down. Uncurl your toes just for a moment in your cobra pose. As we lower it back down, curl your toes under in one chunk. Come to all fours. Let your hips lift you up and back into your down dog. Lift your left leg behind you. Step it through. Help it along. Trot your 2 blocks into the mix. Back foot flat. Left foot maybe a little over to the left. A hinge at your hip, an elongation of your spine, and a soak in a stretch. The back of your leg, and from your tailbone out the crown of your head. A few moments here. firm through your belly, upright your torso. Take your arms wide out to the side, probably a fist bump, maybe a prayer. Wouldn't be in a rush to try to make it a prayer. And then we feel this uplift in our heart. It's like a silly little playful uplift. And we take it with us as we widen our arms, turn over to the left, and our right hand finds that block. Our left arm is up to the sky and our left hip is drawing back behind us as opposed to swinging out towards the left. Let's take a couple of moments where we are. All at the same time, bend your front knee, spin on your back toes, take your hands onto your blocks, and then step yourself into down dog. And once you're in down dog, come to hands and knees. Just give this a shot. Come onto your forearms and interlace your hands. Karate chop with the outer hand and your forearms. And then curl your toes under and start to lift your hips up. You could walk your feet as wide as your mat like we did. We're not collapsed here, so you got to really push down into the ground. It's like a weight-bearing version of when we had our elbows on our blocks earlier. 3 moments here. And then gently bring your knees down onto your mat and come kneeling, which might mean grab your folded blanket. Take a moment to reach your arms to the sky, hook your thumbs, try to pull your thumbs apart and grow really tall. So this is an opportunity to feel like your tailbone is shooting down towards the ground and your arms are going straight up to the sky. Lean over to your right and then lean over to your left. Let's do each side one more time. Lean over to your right and lean over to your left. Grow taller than you've ever been. Take your thumbs to your tailbone. Feel like you're going up and over a barrel. We're not throwing our chin into it. We're going to keep our chin right where it is. And we just go a little up and over, but we're keeping that long side body that we found. It's not going to be a great big deep back bend, just right here. And then we upright our torso. Come to hands and knees. Once we're on our hands and knees, we bring ourselves into down dog by lifting our hips up and back. One more time, come to hands and knees. Bring yourself upright, hook your thumbs, and then swap it so the other thumb goes in front. And we lean over to the left first, this time pulling our thumbs apart and over to our right. One more time each side, over to your left and over to your right. Come down the middle, grow taller than you've been. Take your thumbs to your tailbone, think tailbone down to the ground. Upright your torso into a tiny little bit of a back bend here. We're not throwing our chin into the mix. And then we'll gently release. And as we do, we'll come seated. Let me move my blocks out of the way. You might want to do the same. We will come seated. And once we're seated, lie down onto your back. Once you're lying down, cross your right ankle on top of your left thigh, and this might be sufficient. Perhaps you weave your right hand and hold on to either your left hamstring or onto the top of that left shin. A lot of us are going to take our blocks or our folded blanket, place that underneath our head so there's no struggle here. And we've got a really nice, juicy, long stretch, hip stretch here. So make it relatively comfortable, just challenging enough that it's interesting, but not something that makes you crazy. And we'll be silent for a full minute together here. Stamp your left foot on your mat and just hold the back of that right hamstring as you straighten your right leg. You might slide it up to the calf, but we're not in any sort of rush to try to grab up too high. It could be interesting to straighten your left leg. Maybe that's more than you need. Then bend your left knee, cross your right knee over your left knee, scoot your hips over towards the right and let your knees drop to the left. Little spinal twist. If it doesn't feel good, you don't have to cross that top leg on top. Oh, hi, Tip. What a good down dog you're doing. Oh, and a good stretching up dog. Hi, Boo. And then gently, carefully bring yourself to center. You especially have to be careful if there's a dog in the center, right? Hi. And then cross your left ankle on top of your right thigh. And it could be enough here, or you can hold on to your right hamstring or interlace around that right shin. Maybe your head is resting on a folded blanket or a block. And we've got our full minute of silence together here. You might place that right foot on the ground. In fact, let's do that. And then straighten your left leg. Hold onto the hamstring, maybe onto the calf muscle. This is plenty. You could straighten your right leg out if that feels good to you. And then we'll bend both knees. Scoot our hips to the left, let our knees drop over to the right, I think. You can cross your left knee on top of your right knee if you want. And then bring yourself back to center and lie down on your back. You can keep your knees bent or straighten your legs out for our Shavasana, final meditation. Feel free to close your eyes if you're comfortable with that, or just soften your gaze. It's here that we rest and digest. You're welcome to stay here in your Shavasana final meditation for as long as you would like. If it's time, start to give yourself a stretch, maybe collect your knees into your chest, roll to your side, and bring yourself up to any comfortable seat. Once you're seated, maybe in a cross-legged position, your palms can be up or down. Just a moment. Grateful for our time together, for furry creatures, for all the things. I'm Andrea. Thank you so much for practicing with me today. I look forward to us doing this again together soon.